It's just steps away from a swing set, slide, and jungle gym. In the background, you hear the laughter of children and the sound of crashing waves. It's another playground of sorts made out of concrete and tile. The map, as it's affectionately called, is a 2,500 square foot mosaic. It sits at the Walter Munk Educational Plaza at La Jolla Shores. This massive piece of public art depicts the Grand Canyons of La Jolla, as well as over 100 species indigenous to California's coast, all in hundreds of thousands of pieces of hand-cut tile. Making a mosaic of this size is not easy, and it's only possible thanks to the technique called lithomosaic. It was invented by artists Robin Brailsford and Wick Alexander, along with concrete specialists.
Well, I tend to be a person who thinks big, and this is a technique that really only works for big. So that fit right in for me.
The patented process is a remix of the classic mosaic technique of securing tile to a surface with mortar and grout. Instead, lithomosaic uses monolithic concrete pours.
So lithomosaic did two things. It allows us to work super large. One just went in this week in Tempe, Arizona, that's 750 square feet. And it also has figured out a way through the chemical balance of the concrete and with the techniques that we put into it to allow it to go in a freeze-thaw environments. So we have it in Alaska, Nevada, New Mexico, places where you wouldn't normally be able to have mosaics.
Brailsford also works with artists Kelsey Hartley and Mariah Armstrong Connors. She says a new mosaic begins with research.
When I have a project or when I have identified a site that I want to do for my own without a public art commission, I think of I study it really hard. I am there, I watch the sunrise, the moon set, whatever. I talk to the people, I research a lot in the libraries, I read a lot of books. All my project proposals have bibliographies, extensive bibliographies for the research I've done.
Brailsford and Alexander's home studio is nestled in the hills of East San Diego County. There, the shelves of books are evidence of that scholarly approach to public art.
We're at a funny point now where the house doesn't have very many walls, and all the walls that can have either paintings or bookshelves on it. So, how many more books do we buy is the current problem.
Once the research is done, the next step is design conception.
I do all my lithomosaic layouts. I paint them on clear plastic because I'm basically a glass artist, and so I'm most comfortable working in glass. That's why things that you're seeing that are older are glass. So anyway, I paint on both sides of a piece of clear plastic like this, and I can really get the effect that I want of what the lithomosaics are going to be like.
Then the labor-intensive work of hand-cutting and placing each piece of tile begins. In the lithomosaic process, tiles are secured upside down to mesh with water-based glue. After the layout is complete, it's time to install the mosaic. This is done by concrete professionals.
So they take it and they lay it upside down in the monolithic concrete pour, pull off the plastic, and then they trowel it, and then when the concrete has begun to set a little bit, enough to hold the tiles in place, then they peel the mesh back, and the tiles are actually there in place, and no mesh and no grouting and no buckets and no back-breaking work on our part.
Back at the map, we're able to get a better idea of how the skilled craftsmen install the mosaic.
Imagine putting this much tile in your kitchen. So what they were doing was that on one end they were troweling this one in, and over here they had the pumper truck, and they were up to their ankles, pumping in the concrete and leveling it, and then bringing over the next one at the same time. And it's the ballet of the highest order of how they put it together.
All of this wouldn't be possible without the Walter Munk Foundation for the Oceans. It worked with the city and community stakeholders to bring the mosaic to life. Munk is widely considered to be the father of modern oceanography. He was one of the first scientists to bring statistical methods to the analysis of oceanographic data. And while he died in 2019 before the map was finished, the mosaic continues his legacy of teaching the next generation about the oceans and the animals that call it home. And the beauty of public art is that it's for everyone.
Well, I was just talking to one of my collaborators, Kelsey Hartley, on the phone, and she was pointing out that in this time right now, mortgages are expensive, COVID has left people without jobs, there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, and what's great about public art and something like this is you can really sort of interact and own it, on your own. I love the fact that my things don't belong to anybody, and they belong to everybody. And you can be here at midnight, you can be here at 3 o'clock in the morning, you can be homeless, you can have the biggest house in La Jolla, and you all get to experience it in the same way.
From a 31-foot gray whale to a life-size human diver, the map offers visitors a chance to explore the ocean, but without having to get wet.
There you go. What more could I ask for?
Brenden Tuccinardi, KPBS News.